Okay, so now that we have seen everything in Anna 2, we're now just going to go through and make some examples to kind of take it out for a spin. And we're going to start by doing a bass sound, and the plan here is sort of to start with something relatively simple, and then we'll probably take it through a few different versions, trying out a few different things and stretching some of the capacities that Anna 2 gives us. So it'll be a little experimental here and there, but we'll get a lot of cool sounds that could really branch off in a lot of different directions along the way, but we'll see what we get and have some fun getting there. So we'll start with a saw wave. Just basic. We'll drop it a few octaves just so that we have a lower sound to make a bass. And we'll make sure that it is sent through filter 1. And for the filter type, we'll just get an analog low pass filter. Put some resonance on there. And that's not too bad. We'll drop this cutoff of both filters here so we can just deal with this. And there's no offset on it. Now let's get some whip from the filter envelope. Put some attack. We can work around with the filter sweep there. Let's add some drive on it. Make that curve more exponential. And that's not too bad of a bass sound already, but let's tweak around and see what else we can do to it. Let's play around with the waveform in the oscillator. We're just kind of giving it a bit more grit on the top so that when the filter moves, it has a bit more of the high end to squelch with the envelope. We'll make the envelope amount longer so it has a further amount to travel. And right now, we're still polyphonic, so let's make it mono. And let's actually do legato as well, so it'll slide. Let's make the attack a little bit less, too. Let's put a lot of resonance. We can work that into some cool spots. How about we even put in a different oscillator from a different waveform? Let's go ahead and pick a sine wave, and then we're going to layer that in with it. We'll give it a voice because we want it to just be mono. Just thickening out the bottom. We'll put it down that same amount of octaves. And let's not route that through the filter so that we just have that steady sine wave. And so if we just solo that one oscillator, we're just getting a sine wave to thicken out the bass and be pretty steady, while the other one is providing a lot of the higher end sort of stuff. So together we get a thick bass with some deep low end. But let's say we can put some slide up from the portamento, and since we have the legato on, it'll slide. In that amount of time. We could do some EQing, but I think we're pretty much okay. Maybe scoop a little bit of mid out of there if we turn it on. EQing will come in mixing a lot of the time, but it's there to play with if we want to. Let's say we want some reverb on there. Let's turn that on, and this is the send reverb. So we can bring down the amount that's actually input to the send. And let's try maybe a chorus on here. So now it's a little wider with that, and we have some space from the reverb. Let's actually send the chorus to the send instead. Now the chorus is having the reverb applied to it as well. And let's try a few other effects on there. Let's do a distortion type. How about a high gain so we can really crunch it? Yeah, we'll go with that. Let's try the cab. That's a little crunchier than I would probably go, but it could work in certain scenarios. I think we'll turn that off for now. And how about we try layering a sample on it as well? Let's give it some sort of a attack here. Let's see what we can get. And while we're searching, I think we're going to solo oscillator 4, which will be the sampler we're working with. We don't really want it to loop, so we'll turn that off. And we do want it to retrigger. So it starts at the beginning of the sample. Let's push that volume. And we'll move it up an octave as well. So we just get kind of a pluck sort of sound on the attack with the other ones. Let's see how it sounds together. Let's move that attack down. Very nice. Very big. I like that resonant filter sweep. But now let's take it and we'll try giving it some sort of vibrato that we can control. And we'll do that with an LFO. And to link it so we can actually control that amount, we'll right-click on the knob and we'll get it linked to the... We could do mod wheel, but I think we're going to go with a macro, depending on how you're going to use it. But right now, we'll go to the mod matrix and we see that we have that macro on here. We're going to turn it down because we don't really want a lot of vibrato happening. And we'll turn that depth down. We're kind of filtering out a lot of what's happening here, so let's sort of bring down the envelope amount and have it sustain a little higher for the cutoff. We now can just control how much the vibrato happens because we got the depth of the LFO. And it's a relatively short LFO. It's coming in around 6 hertz. And let's actually turn up a bit of a delay so it doesn't start immediately even if it is on. Because when that vibrato is already on when it starts, it can be hard to pinpoint the actual pitch it's trying to be played. So we'll give it a little delay. Not too much though. And we could even go in and label that macro. Call it vibrato. And now that's labeled here. And for a bass, we probably won't get into doing anything in the chord memory device or the ARP or anything, since really you're just going to have a thick low end. And it's pretty simple to do that. We could also go in and do some FM or something like that. You can start to make it scream a little more with that sort of stuff, and the low end gives you some opportunities to do that type of thing. Or if you wanted to get wild and do some unison voices to make it wider or anything like that, or add more samples to it, do all kinds of things to layer together to make a bigger sound. Anna 2 gives a lot of opportunities to make that sort of thing happen. And we're definitely going to see that as we get into some more examples, but with a bass, I think we saw some good things to start out with, and we're ready to get into a lead sound in the next video, so I will see you then.